let's wait for a little bit more people to join in before we continue with the live stream. Apologies for the disruption. The internet has been acting up again. This is the second time that we were interrupted with our live stream. So give me a second because I will be discussing on our second part the effects of this scandal with the Miss Universe brand and the quick response, the interpretation on the quick response of the Miss Universe organization with regards to what happened. Okay, so give me just a couple of minutes. I will just have to inform everyone that because the live stream suddenly abruptly ended, I need to redo over the live stream in another live stream link. Let me just post it on our stories on Instagram. So, pagpasensyahan nyo na, medyo naantala yung ano natin, ating live stream ngayon. So, I do hope na this time around hindi tayo magkaroon ng issue doon sa second na live stream natin. Okay? Let me just post this on Instagram, IG stories. My gosh. Hello, Travel Junkie. Nakakaloka. Bigla tayong nawala. Bigla tayong what do you call this? Bigla tayong nawala sa ere. So, pagpasensyahan nyo na lang at this is something that I am not expecting for this, for this live stream episode. So, eto, I think naka-set up na tayo on our laptop. I just need to post yung link dito sa ating IG. Live stream link here. Done. So, let's just inform more people that our live stream got interrupted. And new link below sa ating IG. Nakakaloka. I don't know. This has been happening since I think just mid of this year. I'm actually using what do you call this? Using Smart. Maybe kinakailangan ko ng magpalit ng carrier. So, ayan. It's hindi nga umuulan dito, Lemuel, eh. Yun ang nakakapagtaka. I'm kinda bummed because ganda na nung talakayan natin. I am just so very much parang nabuhusan ng malamig na tubig dahil ang ganda na nung mga comments, yung mga comment section dun sa chat box natin. Ang dami ng mga magagandang mga conversations and comments doon na bigla na lang nawala. Doon ako nasayangan. So I do hope that everyone who's joining us again to comment back again yung mga tinype ninyo kung naaalala nyo pa. I'm trying to go over it here in our laptop para lang ma-check kung kaya. Pero ayaw pang lumabas nung chat section. So ay medyo magpa-processing pa kasi itong si YouTube before it will show us again yung mga tawag ito, yung mga comments. So, anyway, attendance ulit, second attendance for the second live stream. So, Travel Junkie is here. Hello. Hajiev is still here. Mark Gonzalez is still here. Lemuel235 is still here. Love Nimrod, hi. Good evening sa lahat. I do hope that this time around hindi na tayo magkaroon ng issue because now, okay, Brownie Pinoy is here. Sabi niya, I'm back also. My family and I are fortunately safe from the wildfires. We are in another island, so thank you for your concern. Salamat din na hindi kayo masyado affected, Brownie Pinoy. Okay, so as I was saying, The next part that we want to be discussing is actually yung ano yung effects ng scandal na to sa Miss Universe brand, and ano yung interpretation namin doon sa what do you call this? Doon sa very quick na response and decision ng Miss Universe organization. So let's start first the conversation on the comment or the response back by Papi Capella doon sa kanyang doon sa allegations of sexual harassment, because she released a what do you call this? She released hindi mo okay, I cannot say that this is just mere PR, but it felt like there is a warning there in the way that she yung kanyang PR, because I find it weird, because instead of saying we, the MUID organization, ang selected niyang words doon sa kanyang PR is the word saya. Saya in Bahasa Indonesia is I, me, ako, kumbaga. So that is where I find it a little bit weird, because instead of making it as a memo, as a official, communications from an organization, it felt like it was only her that is voicing out. It felt like she is the one who is speaking out, not as an organization as a whole, but rather as an individual, as the head of the organization. And what I find it, very disturbing here is that she said at point number 4, and I'm reading the English translation, was that I deeply regret that the news coverage has developed and has given rise to various misleading perception, and concludes that the alleged criminal acts reported are true and have been proven, even though the police themselves have not yet started conducting investigations. The mere fact that the Miss Universe organization made a decision to remove the license from the MUID, rather the PT Capella Swastika Karya company, who handles the license for MUID and MU Malaysia. I find that kind of ironic, simply because you're saying that nothing is proven yet, and yet here you have the Miss Universe organization acting like there is already enough evidence to remove the license from you. So that's kind of serious, because it makes you look like you're already guilty. The mere fact that the organization, the Miss Universe organization, have created, a public statement which reads that PT Capella Swastika Karya and its principals will not be moving forward with Miss Universe Malaysia 2023 and will not be given any additional contracts within our organization. Okay. And then it also includes in that communication that in light of what we learned took place at Miss Universe Indonesia, it has become clear that this franchise has not lived up to our brand standards, ethics, or expectations. Okay. Okay. We're back. As I was saying, the wordage that the Miss Universe organization, I'm really, really sorry. I don't know what's going on with Smart. I've been having these issues for quite some time now. So I'm just gonna make this as quickly as possible, because I'm sure medyo mahaba-haba na yung oras natin na pinaghihintay natin with regards to this live stream. So, as I was saying, the verbiage of the Miss Universe organization's, comments, in not comments, on the what do you call this, on the Instagram stories that they posted, essentially was sort of a clarification, or was sort of a confirmation of what we all know, that the Miss Universe organization is essentially taking the sides of the victims and the reports, and therefore, in order to save face for the Miss Indonesia organization, they said yung kanilang mga statements on tawag ito, on their Instagram stories, and they what they posted there was a bit, a bit of every confirmation na lang din, that the organization didn't do their due diligence, kumbaga, in the way that they handed out, or rather they rolled out their competition, because they specifically mentioned that body checks are not something that is required by the Miss Universe organization, and therefore it was only something that the Miss Universe Indonesia organization put into place. So I think that overall, yung ano natin ngayon, yung what do you call this, yung issue that we have here is essentially the fact that even if there was no conclusive evidence, or there's no conclusive, final reports on the organization's how to say this, organization's findings on the sexual harassment, the claims. I think talaga that essentially what the Miss Universe organization was doing was siding with the victims. Perhaps these victims were already contacted by the Miss Universe organization, kaya siguro ganun na lang ka-swift yung kanilang what do you call this, yung kanilang how to say this, yung kanilang decision on removing the license from the Indonesian partners. So it does make sense on one hand, because the Miss Universe organization prides itself as a organization for women by women, and I think that they are making sure that hindi lumala yung involvement nila dito sa scandal na ito, by making sure that they cut ties as soon as possible, so that anything that would happen later on, whether or not it's going to be a bigger issue, or whether or not this is going to be something more of a global scandal, kung whether lumaki pa itong issue na ito, safe sila, kumbaga. They are not as, how to say this, they are not as affected with what's going on with the local organization, because they have already cut ties early on. So, kumbaga parang they are also saving themselves from larger and bigger na fallbacks nitong iskandalo na ito. And I think that is a very smart move on the Miss Universe organization side, but also they should have made bigger efforts in vetting, in background checks, in making sure that these things don't happen, especially if you are working with a very new organization who has not yet had the opportunity to hold a pageant on their own, or have managed a pageant of their own. There should be guardrails, especially for new and first-time national directors, so that they are able to execute the pageant without any hitch, without any issues on professionalism, or any issues that could potentially be a big problem for the organization as a whole later on. Dahil itong nangyari, what happened here is that this is now a global issue because news outlets like CNN, like Newsweek, like BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, have already mentioned this in their news reports, have already included this in their news reports. So as this, scandal becomes more global, especially post, the hashtag #MeToo movement, this is a very detrimental scandal to the image of the Miss Universe brand. That is why I believe that the Miss Universe really needed to cut off ties as soon as possible because they don't want to be dragged along with the PT2 company and then MUID organization should this balloon into a bigger problem. And I think that is a very, it shows how the organization is protecting itself. And that is why they had to have a very speedy, brief, but concise public na statement with regards to the scandal, so that ultimately they are protecting themselves from possible litigation maybe, or possible fallout with the international pageant community. Because if they don't separate themselves from the local organization, mas lalong madidikit sila at madidiin sila later on with what's going to happen with the local franchise in Indonesia. That is why it makes sense, and it's a smart move on them, on their part, to remove the license as early as now. Dahil kung lalala pa ito, it will essentially backfire on the Miss Universe organization. Because right now, if you look at some other for some other news reporting, much like yung news report ng Fox News, it makes it sound like it's the Miss Universe organization's fault that the sexual harassment happened. So there are a lot of clickbait articles that is going out right now with regards to the Miss Universe Indonesia na scandal. But a lot of these clickbait articles is blaming back or using the parent organization, the Miss Universe organization, in their titles. So it's not saying that it is PT Capella Swastika Karya or PTCSK that is having issues, but it's pointing back to the parent organization. And this is why it makes sense that the organization immediately cut off ties with Poppy Capella and her organization, because lumalabas na sila ang nagiging dehado, that they are the ones that it's getting blamed, or their image is getting tarnished with the local issues in Indonesia. And one thing more that I want to I wanted to point out was the part of the statement ni Poppy. Let me just go back to the translation. Sabi dito, wait lang. Okay, so here, in her press statement, she mentioned on point number 3 that this is translation from a Google translation of what she said. I hereby confirm that I, as a national director and as the owner of the Miss Universe Indonesia license, were not involved at all and have never known, ordered, requested, or allowed anyone who plays a role and participates in the process of organizing Miss Universe Indonesia 2023 to commit violence or sexual harassment through body checking, as has been widely reported. That means that she is not hands-on in what is going on with her organization because she's not there on the ground. It also means that because the candidates are saying that it was the COO that has been doing this, that has been implicated in all of these sexual harassment claims, and the mere fact that she's not aware of that and denies it in her press statement means that she's the wrong person to run this organization. Because when let's give you an example. When Binibining Pilipinas was still, very much when Madam Stella Marquez Araneta was still very much active with Binibining Pilipinas, she is actually there on every occasion that the candidates have an activity or a public outing, where she checks on the candidates and their mental state throughout the activity. She's there, she's present on the ground. It was only during the pandemic season until now that she's not as visible, as she's quite old at age 80 plus at this point in time. The mere fact that someone at Madam Stella's age, when she was still pretty much very much active until she was in her 70s, is very much visible in her organization, and that she knows what's going on from the ground level, it means that she is the right person to run the organization. And that is not something that we see with Poppy Capella, because she seems that she's not aware of what's going on around her organization. The mere fact that she's not aware that there are these body checking that's happening, and that she says that she didn't authorize this, then she needs to find out who authorized this and fire the person who made this decision, or surrender this person to the authorities that this is the person who made this decision that I was not aware of. Ilaglag na niya kung kinakailangan ilaglag yung kanyang partner or kanyang person in her organization, because it's not looking well for her. It does not bode long-term, for her image, because she will always be remembered as someone who allowed sexual harassment to happen in her organization, especially in an organization that's supposed to be for women empowerment. So this is a very terrible na idea for Poppy. The way that she worded her press release, because it looks like she's trying to avoid accountability, and rather would blame the press, would blame other people, instead of taking accountability of what's happening in her organization, and not really facing the issues nang hindi harapan. Hindi niya, she's based on what I've read on her PR, she's skirting the issue. So I think that's not the sorry. That's not a mark of a good leader. A good mark of a leader is that she will own up to her errors and make sure that it does not happen again. And I don't think that avoiding accountability is something that a good leader possess, and that's clearly not the case with Poppy. Okay, I know there are some comments. Let's try to get through these comments, and then we will go doon sa part where we will try to dissect yung comments ng Miss Universe na organization doon sa mga sa mga tawag ito, sa mga points there that we need to understand kung anong ibig sabihin ng mga points na yon. Okay? Unahin na muna natin yung mga comments. Pasensya na, medyo nagkaroon tayo ng issue with our live stream. I think this has something to do with Wi-Fi, with, I don't know, maybe with what do you call this, with the signal, I don't know, but this is something that I've been experiencing ever since mid of this year. So smart, please umayos po sana kayo. Okay, Tony Polinas is still here. Rodvin Fiel is still present. Richard Leofic says hi, Jeswan. Hi Chad. Rodvin Fiel, team replay ako sa first part. Hajiev, yung continuation ng comment, yung putere grabe magpahaging and their queens spoke up agad. I'm sorry Hajiev, I cannot access the comment from the previous live stream. I think it's still in the process of reproducing the comments before it posts it on the posted na live stream na. Okay? Mark Gonzalez, suggestion, yung former MU of licensing and franchising is Carlos Capetillo. Ayun. The mere fact that he's the first one na major player in the organization na unang umalis, that's a red flag. So, hindi rin ako nagtataka that this is something that we're facing now because as the director of the licensing and franchising na part, Carlos is in charge of doing all the background checks perhaps, making sure that the organization's partners are within the, within the realm of professionalism in terms of how they do their jobs and their work. Okay? Nasaan na ba tayo? Lemon235 says, this kind of reminds me of the Miss USA scandal that happened a few months back last year. The only difference is MUO didn't find any sufficient evidence for revoking license of Miss USA. Ping says, hello, universe. There. Nasaan na ba tayo? Saldi Salen, sabi, problem talagang internet sa Philippines. Sir J, since afford ka naman, you might consider Starlink. Medyo pricey nga lang ang unit, parang nasa 29K per unit plus installation, nasa 2,700 a month. I'll try to think of that. I'll put that as one of my, as a possible, options. Thank you. AJC, 8604, prior to MU 2021. Okay. Reaction to Palki's reiterated stand of abolishing all kinds of pageants even prior to MU 2021. Siguro it might do good if they limit the pageants that Indonesians can participate in, and then just really be very careful with organizations na gustong magpa-pageant. So there. So, saan na tayo? Jon Snow, same thing why Yayasan Putri Indonesia released a statement earlier, few days pa lang nung lumabas balita, informing the public na wala na sa kanila ang MU franchise at ibang organization ang involved sa scandal. That is a smart way of making sure that you're not gonna get dragged down with misinformation, thinking that because there are not a lot of people who are aware of pageants and the moving around of franchises. So that was a smart way to protect their own organization for Yayasan Putri Indonesia to make sure that they are insulated from what's going on outside. This is a problem of the MUID organization and it should stay within them, within that organization. So, Jon Snow, mukhang nagka-cramming na sa Ate Poppy. Obvious pa lang nung isa-isa na nagre-resign mga tauhan niya na hired niya after the MU, after the finals ng MUID. Very telling pati yung handler ng multimedia nila dumistansya na. So, I think, that is a telling, that's very telling on the organization dahil ultimately, ang magiging bagsak talaga is who heads the organization, because that's what they call command responsibility. Everything will boil back up to the head of the organization. So let's not be disillusioned na hindi aabot sa kanya, hindi sa kanya ang balik ng mga problemang ito. Okay? So let's now go to the final point in our discussion. Because ang titignan ang pag-uusapan na natin ngayon is yung mga points on the Miss Universe na statement, public statement or press release with regards to removal of the license from the Pt2 Capella Swastika Karya na company. Okay? So, sabi dito, providing a safe place for women is the Miss Universe organization's utmost priority, and the events at this particular pageant are diametrically opposed to everything we stand for as an organization, which means this is a very strong, this is a very strongly worded na statement because essentially what the communications is saying is that they already found these organization as guilty even before matapos ang background check, ang investigation ng mga police ng gobyerno ng Indonesia. So ibig sabihin, they are convinced that there is something wrong that happened. Okay? And moving, sabi niya, the PTCSK and its principals will not be moving forward with Miss Universe Malaysia 2023 and will not be given any additional contracts within our organization. Ibig sabihin that from here on out, everyone in the Miss Universe Indonesia, in the PTCSK na organization, are no longer allowed to partner with the Miss Universe organization moving forward. So in the future, anyone who is involved in the pageant will not be allowed to be what do you call this? To be part of the Miss Universe organization, even if lumaktaw sila sa ibang mga pageant orgs. So sabi dito, we will be canceling the Miss Universe Malaysia 2023 and will make arrangements for the Indonesia 2023 title holder to compete in this year's Miss Universe pageant. Ibig sabihin, Fabian will still be competing at Miss Universe in El Salvador. Now, the good thing that happened with the scandal is that the Miss Universe organization now is evaluating, okay, I'll just read. Sabi nila, we are evaluating our current franchise agreement as well as our policies and procedures to prevent this type of conduct from occurring and to ensure that future events worldwide remain within the brand standards that we have set out for all our international franchises. We also want to make it extremely clear that there are no measurements such as height, weight, or body dimensions required to join a Miss Universe pageant worldwide. So, ibig sabihin nito, dalawa. One is that they are going to update their code of conducts, their what do you call this? Their franchise agreements, so that it will reflect, protections for future candidates, as well as number two, they are making it clear that they have never or they have not required measurements or body checking to any of their international partners. Ibig sabihin that this is something that the Miss Universe or Miss Universe Indonesia organization did on their own. Now, this is the part where it humanizes their response because they said here that to the women who came forward from Indonesia, from the Indonesian pageant, we're sorry that this was your experience in our organization. We appreciate your bravery in speaking out and we pledge to do better in the future. This is where the Miss Universe organization is taking, taking acknowledgement. And they are, in essence, not taking the blame, but they are taking accountability with what happened in Indonesia because this is part of their organization. Essentially, this is part of the Miss Universe na family, yung nangyari sa MUID. And they are apologizing to the women who has been victimized and traumatized with this instance of sexual abuse and harassment to the candidates. So, what does it mean? It means that Miss Universe, the Miss Universe organization probably were the ones who made the decision na kumalas, probably even independently to the decision of Kun An. Dahil I think the way that the press release is worded, I think that this might have come from either Paula Shugart or from Amy Emmerich. The way that the wording is made is very much a reflection of someone who knows how to play the PR game. And based on my experience when I met, Paula Shugart, she is someone who is very warm, but she's also very smart. She probably is one of the, she probably had a hand in this, in this statement. But I would think that most probably the one who really made sure and nailed down this statement was Amy Emmerich. She was probably the one who had full hands on this statement, because I think as the leader of the Miss Universe organization, as the CEO of the Miss Universe organization, she is protecting not only the women in the women who are competing for the Miss Indonesia title or the Miss Universe title as a whole, but she's also protecting the entire image of the brand, protecting the legacy of the brand, because right now hindi maganda yung association ng Miss Universe with the Miss Universe Indonesia na pageant. So ayun, to end this, very difficult conversation, I think that justice has to be served, especially for the traumatized victims. I believe that they needed to be, served justice. They needed to be served, with respect when the investigation is in its full extent, because you don't want to traumatize further a traumatized victim. I think that society owes them that much, and I do hope that eventually whoever is guilty should be punished. Whoever is found guilty, serve their sentence, and learn from this experience. Ultimately, I also hope that kapag may mga ganitong mga iskandalo, at may mga biktima na willing ipakita ang kanilang mukha, are brave enough to show their faces, let their names be known, we should treat them with utmost respect, because I think that at this point in time they need support. It's not easy to come out and tell your tell the humiliating experience that you have to the world, and have people be privy to details about what happened. Nakakahiya. This is, it still is a violation of their privacy. So the mere fact that they are willing to share, their experience to the world, I do hope that we listen and we learn from their lessons. This is a teachable moment as well to pageant fans, that if you see something wrong, speak out. And I do hope na in the future, kung mangyari man ito sa Pilipinas, we don't keep mum. We don't victim blame. And that we tell the stories of these women who are brave enough to come out. So there, I do hope na mapagpasensyahan nyo yung ating disruption sa ating live stream ngayon. I am very much frustrated with what happened with our internet situation, so I apologize for that. But in the future, I will make sure na mas maganda yung internet connection natin para hindi tayo ganito na nagkakaroon ng issue parati doon sa cutting ng ating live stream. Okay? So I do hope na you will be with us next week, because next week we will be discussing mga updates, pageant updates. By then, there are a lot of international competitions na natapos na, at makikita natin yung mga magiging discussions natin later on whether or not tumama tayo sa mga bets natin for Miss South Africa, Miss Universe Thailand, and other international other national pageants all over the world. Okay? So thank you very much sa lahat ng sumubaybay at sa lahat na nagkaroon ng pasensya dun sa ating paputol-putol na live stream. I do hope that you leave a thumbs up dito sa live stream na to para para pag nanood yung mga ibang mga tao doon sa ating unang live stream, makita din nila ito. I will try to link yung mga live stream links on each of these YouTube videos later on, para if in case that you want to go through the discussions, makuha natin ng buo yung ating pinag-usapan. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everyone, and I do hope na we all have a very productive Monday and work week ahead. Okay? Thank you very much, and bye, everyone.